The Bombay High Court has directed the state of Maharashtra to curb noise pollution from places of worship, stating that loudspeaker use is not an essential part of any religion.
This is not the first time the court has said this. The court has said again and again the same thing.
I'm going to take the liberty, Sumaira Abdulali, to say this as somebody who comes from the minority community, that it embarrasses me at times when I hear the blaring azan and I feel worried for my neighbors because they don't practice the same religion as me. Aren't they disturbed by this? I'm just sharing a personal thought with you. And for a long time, I have wondered, how is this allowed?
Other petitioners who have been calling me over the years and expressing frustration, not just for masjids, but for all religious places, of which I have measured noise pollution from quite a few by now, that they will stand up, that they will demand action, and that the government will respond to that. I hope that it will be enforced for all masjids, and that it will also be enforced for those mandirs and gurdwaras and all churches and all the religious places which similarly disturb their neighborhoods. Problem is not that the leadership of any religion doesn't recognize that noise pollution is an issue. Every religion has acknowledged it.
The Bombay High Court has directed the state of Maharashtra to curb noise pollution from places of worship, stating that loudspeaker use is not an essential part of any religion. So, using the excuse and alibi of religion to perpetuate loud, blaring noise from loudspeakers should be curbed, and the state government has been given certain important directions. The court has emphasized that public health is the primary issue here, based on which this order has been issued, and it also dismissed claims of any constitutional rights infringement in this. Because remember, a lot of people come up with the right to the freedom to expression is infringed upon. So, there again, the court has made a very clear direction. And let's also remember that under noise pollution rules, which nobody understands, but there is a noise pollution rule that the decibel limit of noise in residential areas is 55 during the day and 45 at night. There is rampant violation of this limit, and it is high time that we take note of this and we discuss this issue. And to discuss, in fact, I have Sumaira Abdulali, who's an eminent environmentalist. She's the strongest voice against noise pollution in Mumbai, one of the angels of Mumbai that Free Press Journal has honored as well. Thank you, Sumaira Abdulali, for giving us time today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really thank you.
Right. I want to begin then with what the court said, because the court has given direction, and I am not sure if this is the first time. I'm sure there were such directions earlier. And we have to again make a distinction between a direction and an order. This is a direction to the state to curb noise pollution, stating that it is not an essential part in practice of any religion. To what extent will this be binding on the government? And do you see a change after this? Because we reported about this quite a few times before as well. Nothing changes, Ms. Abdulali.
Well, yes, you're quite right. This is not the first time the court has said this. In fact, in a petition which we had filed way back in 2003, and then we had filed an application in that petition, the court has said again and again the same thing. The Supreme Court has also reiterated in its order as far back as 2005 that religion is not a ground for violating the noise pollution rules, and that the government needs to take action. So we need to wait and watch how things will change with this order. But I really hope that the government and the police will take this order seriously. And I also hope that just like these petitioners have done, that other petitioners who have been calling me over the years and expressing frustration, not just for masjids, uh, but for all religious places, of which I have measured noise pollution from quite a few by now, that they will stand up, that they will demand action, and that the government will respond to that.
Yeah. I'm going to take the liberty, Sumaira Abdulali, to say this as somebody who comes from the minority community, that it embarrasses me at times when I hear the blaring azan and I feel worried for my neighbors because they don't practice the same religion as me. Aren't they disturbed by this? I'm just sharing a personal thought with you. And for a long time, I have wondered, how is this allowed? And you're saying, of course, many religions have those practices. I'm just speaking for the one that I practice. I feel embarrassed, and there should be enough of us coming out and speaking about it, because my entire neighborhood is not a minority dominated area, and there are loud azans, which I am very sure also disturbs people. It goes on for a minute or so. It disturbs work as well. There are people recording from home, or people in my profession, at many levels, right? So, do you think community wise there must be people speaking up for it?
Yes, and I'm very happy to say two things. The first was that many years ago, decades ago, in fact, I had complained about a masjid near my house, and it stopped using loudspeakers at all. The other thing that I would like to say is that the Muslim community has come out and spoken against loudspeaker use for azan. The Jama Masjid head made a statement some years ago that they would stop using loudspeakers and that they would promote an app where people could log in who wanted to log in and who believed in the faith to substitute the azan so that they could continue to do it for those who wanted to. This is an excellent initiative and it should be followed by all. In fact,
Yes.
it's wonderful that the Muslim community has at least spoken about that. And I
Hmm.
hope that it will be enforced for all masjids and that it will also be enforced for those mandirs and gurdwaras and all churches and all the religious places which similarly disturb their neighborhoods. Not even people of the same faith or everybody of the same faith wants to be
True.
woken up or disturbed by this kind of noise, if
Yeah.
only because all of us have infants, babies, old people who are disturbed by noise pollution in general. So it's not just a matter of the content. You cannot, and that's exactly what the Supreme Court and the High Court, even in 2016, had said, that religion is not a ground for breaking the noise rules. The noise
Yeah.
rules are a civic issue. They're a health issue, and we need to look at it that way. I'm also happy to say that leaders of other communities, churches in particular, have
Hmm.
stood up and given up their midnight masses to a large extent, and that the even the Hindus in their temples and so on, that they have taken this to note and that they have kind of restricted what they have
Yeah.
to do.
So
Now,
some
the question
initiatives are taken, but it's not enough. Let's face it, Mr.
is not
Ms.
enough.
Abdulali. I can tell you in the area where I live, it's very loud. And I'm not just speaking for my religion. Yes, there are other practices as well. And one can still go and intervene when it's a function or a party. The moment religion comes in, again, there are sensitivities involved, and everybody becomes very guarded. So that is why you think this particular order from Bombay High Court coming specifically mentioning the point of view about how religion should not be used as an excuse makes complete sense.
I completely agree with you, and in fact, I was just about to say that the problem is not that the leadership of any religion doesn't recognize that noise pollution is an issue. Every religion has acknowledged it. And the people know this and they acknowledge it and they know that they are being disturbed down to the extent where you talk to the person on the ground, he will tell
Yeah.
you how he's disturbed. So our problem is elsewhere. Our problem is
Mhm.
political. And the
Mhm.
political problems are that a lot of these religions are used to make political points and political statements. So it remains to be seen how this is enforced politically. If you talk to the administration and the police, they will completely agree with you. And they will say that yes, this should be stopped. There is a court order. So let's see how the politics and the court order play off against each other. But
The
I'm hopeful.
electoral politics that comes in, it sometimes works against public interest because there are vote banks to be nurtured. And the larger masses, whether we like it or not, are steeped in religion. And that is almost like a no go area for politicians who don't want to lose that uh, portion of the vote bank, if I may say so. But yes, those compulsions are there. So now that the High Court has directed the state government, Would you say the onus completely lies with the state government to enforce this? There should be no dithering on it. And it's a majority government, it's a three-party government in Maharashtra. They should be able to get the stakeholders involved, build consensus, and do it.
Absolutely, and particularly when the leaders of each and every community is agreeing with them, there should be no
Yeah.
difficulty at all in enforcing it. So,
Hmm.
but it remains to the people to come forward and demand that the government give them the action they want in the interest of their own health. So again, it comes back to this, that people have to stand up, and I'm so happy that some people are standing up and are getting these orders and are making their voices heard. We need more people to stand up who are disturbed by noise. This is not a religious issue. We need to stand
Yeah.
up against noise from all religious places
Yeah, those who
together.
are watching us, I would urge you to circulate this, because what Ms. Sumaira Abdulali is saying is from experience, and we need to spread this message. So, those of you who are watching and who feel strongly about this, kindly amplify this message. I think from both of us, at least, I can make that point on behalf of both of us here who's engaging in this conversation, that participate in this conversation, spread this message. There is no other way, isn't it? You're talking about community participation. We very conveniently blame the government. But when are we going to stand up for what we need and make a noise about it? This is the right kind of noise I'm talking about here.
Absolutely. People are essential. Court orders are tools for us to implement, and we need to ensure that that is done. I will certainly do my part in whatever way I can by helping the government enforce, giving them more data, encouraging more people to stand up. I have been receiving complaints for so many years. I have requested everybody who's complained to me to make their complaint official. Not be scared, not be swayed by this argument that, oh, this is religious, we can't talk about this, we can't talk about that. We are citizens
Yeah.
of this country, our health is being impacted. It's our duty to speak.
Yeah. And one last point about how, to those who say this could infringe upon A, B, C fundamental rights, the court has cleared the air on that. It says, and I quote, by denying such permissions, rights under Article 19, freedom of speech and expression, or 25, freedom of religion of the Constitution, are not infringed. Justices Ajay Gadkari and Shamchand has made this clear. So, therefore, legally, there is no point. There is no legal point here that one can literally stand on, or justify loudspeaker use.
Yes, and this order is again based and strengthened by previous orders of the court, which say exactly the same thing. The 2016 Bombay High Court order and the Supreme Court order before that, which say
Hmm.
exactly this. So there is no question of it being illegal to enforce this order. The order must be enforced. But again, not just for masjids, it must be enforced for all.
Must be enforced for all. There must be a fair implementation, and some very important points made by Sumaira Abdulali also on the fact that there is data. There is data to establish to what extent this is a health hazard. I think we must continue this conversation. Sumaira Abdulali, thank you so much for joining us here on Free Press Journal, for leading this campaign, and we will continue to have you on our shows. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks.